Hello everyone, welcome to theCUBE with our AWS Marketplace Series. My name is Christophe, Bertrand. I'm a principal analyst here at theCUBE. And you know we love videos, that's what we do. And I'm very, very pleased today to welcome Danny Nicolopoulos from TwelveLabs. Danny, welcome.
Hey Christophe, thanks for having me.
And guess what? We're going to talk about videos, especially in the age of AI. It's not just a collection of captions and images. There's a lot more that you can do with what is very often a critical asset for many businesses. So, Danny, I'd like to start with what you do. You're head of strategic partnerships at TwelveLabs. Tell us about yourself and tell us about TwelveLabs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I lead the strategic partnerships team for TwelveLabs. That means working with infrastructure partners like our good friends at AWS, integration partners like systems integrators, but also ecosystem applications that are powered by our models. Um, our company, TwelveLabs, is a research and product company based in San Francisco. We build video AI foundation models. Our models, just like any other large foundation model providers, take in large amounts of data and allow you to search, analyze, and now reason across video. So very specific to videos, just like a language model will be specific to language.
So let's talk a little bit about the architecture of the solution and the service. There are a couple of ways to consume the technology and the APIs, and let's double click on the technology. So you mentioned models. I believe there are a couple of models at this point that you're using for slightly different purposes, which are actually extremely complementary as you think about what is in a video and what you can do or should be able to do, which maybe without your solution is very hard to do, or other solutions fall short of delivering. So can you walk us through both models, the Marengo model and the Pegasus model?
Yeah, absolutely. So Marengo was our first model. It was actually trained on AWS, and Marengo is for searching video. So we take large amounts of video, we convert them into what's called embeddings through an indexing process. And embeddings are just basically numbers that represent what's happening in a video. It makes it searchable with AI. So think of Marengo like a memory, or the outputted embeddings from Marengo like a memory. A human would watch a video and then be able to recall over space and time what happened. So an example I like to give is you're with a friend and you say, "Hey, do you remember that play in the last game where the quarterback threw the touchdown?" You would immediately replay that back in your brain and see it happening. That's how our models work. So we actually see the way a human does. And that allows us to really, really accurately find moments with semantic language that are buried deep, deep in video that otherwise you wouldn't be able to search for. Our second model, which is called Pegasus, is what's called a video language model or a VLM. Pegasus watches the video, but then analyzes it. And so it borrows some of that really, really powerful capability that Marengo has, but actually then extrapolates around that knowledge that it was able to gather from after the search. So this is used for things like building summaries, chapters, hashtags, everything from IAB classification to more detailed analysis. Um, Independent of each other, they're very, very powerful. Think of one like the librarian who has read every book in the library, and the second, Pegasus, as the librarian who now is able to understand everything that's in each of the books. If you use those two things together, that's a pretty powerful librarian.
So this is fascinating. You know, video is our business here at theCUBE, so I can certainly see many ways we could use this technology here as well. So let's double click on your customers and really the perfect customer for you. And clearly the capabilities here seem to be endless. What you're describing is really the ability to not have to choose between retrieval and understanding. You can do both at the same time. And now you can truly take all this video work that you've established as a business, all these archives potentially, and turn them into assets that keep returning even more value than maybe they originally had. Think of broadcasting, I imagine that's one area. Sports, clearly a great topic. Can you walk us through the type of industries you're targeting? Obviously, this is happening at scale, so it's for large producers and consumers of videos, but tell us more about your target markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we're focused on video. Video is actually the world's fastest growing data format. Over 80% of the world's data is now in video, yet it's the least understood. So naturally, the companies and industries who monetize on video were the first to raise their hand. And that's primarily what we call TMEGs, or telco, media, entertainment, and sports and games. Think large studios who are trying to understand the massive archive of content they have over the course of years. News stations who have content that is really, really valuable but inaccessible today. Sports groups and leagues that are looking to build highlight reels really, really quickly, or deeply understand content from around the game, like fan interviews or press conferences. So those were the first customers who raised their hand, and we now engage with most of the large companies in that industry. Um, we also expanded very quickly into more monetization-focused use cases on the fringes of those. So think ad agencies, think ad tech, how we actually think about serving ads, things like that. And then we also have a public sector group that stood up that's primarily focused on, understanding the large amounts of video that exist in the world to help with everything from smart cities to efficiencies in airports and much, much more. The really interesting thing that we found over the last several months has been, once our models became available on Amazon Marketplace, we're finding even more use cases that would otherwise not really be the most intuitive when you first think about, video models. So things like a large auto manufacturer who built a automated mechanic who looks at cars when they come into the shop and provides an initial analysis of what kind of work needs to be done. Law firms trying to understand copious amounts of discovery or investigative evidence. Um, Insurance companies looking to make heavily paper-based process into a video-based process that requires less human intervention. So the possibilities are kind of endless once you start to think about not just the video that we shoot today, but also what else could you do with video now that you can actually understand it and leverage it in ways that you previously hadn't thought of.
Right, and you meet customers where the videos actually are, and so I'd like to go a little bit more technical here on your integration with AWS. So, okay, I'm an end user. I'm interested in maybe a couple of the use cases you've just described, and maybe I have some of my own thinking about this based on my business requirements. How can I leverage your technology? Do I get a service? Do I get to integrate through APIs? What are my options?
Yeah, definitely. There's so many options, and that's kind of the beauty of working with AWS. So, as you mentioned, we meet our customers where they're at. So oftentimes that video that they want to understand is already in S3. They're able to index the content via EC2 or our SaaS offering, which is listed on Amazon Marketplace or also in Amazon Bedrock. If the customer does not have the data already on AWS, we also have a number of migration partners that are part of the AWS ecosystem to help bring the videos into S3, index them, and then you can also store your vectors, your embeddings, which are the output of the Marengo model, in any kind of vector service on AWS, which primarily for many AWS customers is OpenSearch or most recently S3 vectors. So really a plethora of options. Amazon Marketplace has been a really great partner for us to give visibility to the models, but also make it really, really easy to procure because as many folks have probably experienced themselves, understanding where AI spend is going is a really big challenge. In any ways that we can make it really closely tied to their AWS spend to understand their holistic TCO, it's incredibly, incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and it's really about money. So I mean, AWS here is kind of the gold mine with all the videos being available and the intelligence that you've already acquired and are making available to customers, and then you help them mine that value with both models and the various integrations that you offer. So I think it's a great combination at a time where I think economics are going to be absolutely key, and when there's so much that can be done with AI. So what I'd like to do is maybe take us for a rodeo. Show us a little bit more about the solution. Rodeo, of course, is the name of your agentic model or agent offering. So can you show us a little bit of a demo here, and so we can get a better sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start and just give you a little bit of a preview. Rodeo is our application that's focused on agentic video editing. We really call it a creative copilot. Rodeo came at the request of customers who were looking at using the models and building with them independent of each other, but specifically wanted it for a more pointed purpose, which was how do I actually accelerate my editing process to include faster search, analyzing, but also just like a head start on what is otherwise a pretty arduous process of kind of pulling clips together so you can get it into production. So I'll walk you through really quickly here the demo. You can see here we've uploaded a bunch of media. We have different libraries that you can select from. You can also add in your own media through upload and connectivity into your existing video storage. So right here, we already have an existing index that we've created. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put together a brief. And this is an example where an ad agency wanted to cut together an actual a storyboard, basically, of what they wanted to shoot. And so we actually have that all pre-populated here. You can see they have very specific detail around timing, around shot type, and then also specific objects they're looking for, but also feelings they want to convey. A dramatic shot, something that conveys power. So right now what you're seeing is the videos are actually being quote unquote watched by the model Marengo. Now Pegasus is analyzing the footage, taking in those inputs, and the output is this stitched together kind of beautiful storyboard that allows you to basically select from different clips that are aligned to the storyboard that the producer created, but also now gives you ability to kind of do very light editing. And so we like to call this almost like a very light non-linear editor. You can adjust timing, you can select different types of clips. And as you can see, the storyline is very clearly articulated and summarized as a part of the output. Lastly, you can actually export it as an MP4 or as an EDL file. So this is intended to accelerate the editing process and not necessarily replace anybody or the editor. So that's why our customers really love it. It allows the creative to be still a part of the process. It simply takes away some of the more complex or difficult parts of the production process.
Right. So very clearly, I mean, I really like what you showed us here. It feels like you're getting this like personal assistant, power editor agent that makes the editing work a lot easier, but more importantly, also still allows for even more creativity than maybe you originally had when you first shot the product, the video. And that's just one example. Obviously, Danny, there are so many other use cases that you mentioned across multiple industries. And I suspect it's just the beginning. So let's talk about what it feels like when you come on board. You're a customer and end user. Tell us about the onboarding. What do I need to do as an end user to get your solution in my environment? Can I start small? How does it all work?
Sure. So we have a lot of options, and I think that's the beauty of AWS is we have availability for builders to basically come to our website, all built on AWS, and call our APIs. You can call the APIs from Amazon Bedrock as well, and the APIs are available in Amazon Marketplace and easily purchased and then deployed. Rodeo also is available on Marketplace as well. It's a very simple process to onboard. You create an account, have your files in an S3 bucket, and pull that into Rodeo, which starts the indexing process. And then from there, it's just a prompt away from being able to do what you saw in the demo we showed on this show.
Oh, it couldn't be simpler. Um, Before we close, Danny, I'd love to hear maybe a couple of customer examples that you've recently dealt with, and tell us how are they approaching your solution? What type of creativity are you seeing from your customers, and any other thoughts you may have for our viewers?
Sure. Yeah, I think a really great example of use of our technology, especially in an agentic manner, is a large Canadian sports team conglomerate. Basically, they have a number of different sports that they own, but they don't have a really easy way to look across all the content from all the different types of sports, and also basically pull in content that's a little bit more creative and outside of just what's been shot during a game. And so they originally were building highlights over the course of about 16 hours. And the purpose was for them to be able to move it into a kind of a short highlight reel that would then get posted to their social channels. So basically verticalized and then published. The goal there is engaging fans, selling more tickets, etc. But doing that across many different teams that comes from many leagues with different rights is a really big challenge. So we collaborated with them to build a agentic tool that basically allowed them to pull clips from in the game, around the game, which included press conferences and fan footage, uh, their mascots doing backflips, but also pulled in generative content to fill in gaps and cracks to accelerate their editing time. And what they found was they actually went from about 16 hours down to about 9 minutes. And so a massive, massive improvement in efficiency, but it also actually is great for not just the company themselves, but also for their fans, because now their fans have way more content to interact with. They can even in the future they could do deeply personalized highlights if they wanted at that kind of speed. And so our goal there is really again to drive the creative process and take out more of the mundane tasks such as search. And more generally, I think we're going to see that happen more and more. Again, sports and media entertainment was really just the first industry to raise their hand to work on this big hairy problem. We're seeing much, much more creativity come from other industries that hadn't even thought about using AI or even using video in the past. So, really excited for the future and excited to see, what other companies and industries build with our models on AWS.
I'm certainly very interested too. So, well, Danny, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And to our viewers, thank you for joining the AWS Marketplace Series. My name is Christophe Bertrand. I'm a principal analyst here at theCUBE. Thank you for your time.